Welcome back to Sports Chat TV, everybody. It's August 6th already. Crazy. Life's fast. This year's gone by really fast when I think about it. It's time for football, amazingly. Preseason has begun, and I'm excited because I'm a Pats fan and they start tomorrow, but we'll get to that later. Um, and we're going to chat a little bit about things, some controversial things, maybe, I don't know, move on. A lot to be said about Johnny Manziel these days, so we'll talk about that. But again, I have Craig with me, and welcome back to Sports Chat TV, and I'm glad you're joining again.
I'm glad to be here. I've heard some good things about the Patriots this week. I forgot who they have the combined practice with. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. I heard it was a long week for the other team. Apparently, Tom Brady.
Gronkowski's back, so I'm happy about that.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Of course, I went to school with him, so that's another reason.
How was that?
Interesting. I was actually at his workouts when he was being scouted by the NFL, so I got to watch his workouts. That was quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how good he is. I think he has 34 touchdowns his last 35 games.
Yeah.
They made it to the AFC Championship without him. I think it's a different ball game up in the AFC East.
Well, you can tell too when Tom is a lot calmer when he knows he has a good tight end, a good player. You can tell this last season without Gronkowski, he didn't know where to throw it, what to do, because he wasn't sure that he could have a reliable player. So it'd be nice to get them back working together.
Very true.
So yeah, Sports Chat needs to kind of address one thing, and I was going to address the fact that like ESPN is obsessed with Johnny Manziel, and I'm not convinced that he's going to do great, but I'm not convinced that he's going to do poorly. What are your thoughts on the whole Johnny Manziel starting or not starting situation?
I think he's absolutely going to start, and just the whole thing going into it. All right, I'm a Johnny Manziel fan, but when he was going to the draft, people put the NFL up here, and then kind of Johnny Manziel down here. Say, oh, how is he going to make that leap? Blah blah blah. It's like, don't really look at it like that. Look at what teams he can go to, what kind of system is it, who does he have around him, and maybe it'll work. Like RG3, he had that first year when he had Morris running with him, just running wild in that rushing offense, and teams really couldn't pick it up. He went into a comfortable situation. Then it all went to you know what. But I think his system right now, just take it slow, and he's definitely got the arm and the accuracy. It's just it's not the greatest team around him, but I mean that division. Sorry, Steelers fans. Sorry, Ravens, but looks like Cincinnati's got the real defense out there, so I don't see why they can't win a couple games. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they haven't won a playoff game in who knows. I think it's been like, 20 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
If he did that, I think ESPN would have every right to cover him 24/7.
Yeah, but it just seems every press conference has turned into like, I'm going to try my best. I mean, they're kind of putting a lot of pressure on the kid, even more than he already had.
I've been looking at the Cleveland media. The stuff they're putting out is ridiculous. After the first week, I mean, there was a different story every day. It was, oh, it's Boyer's job. I'm Hoyer. The next day, oh, it's Manziel. And there was one of the times where they were showing a video of them, like, just throwing in warm-ups. And they were talking about how Hoyer's release is so much faster than Manziel. I'm like, it's warm-ups. And, like, what? Are these reporters out there with stopwatches, like, timing their releases and stuff? It's like, let's just wait till they get into the preseason and see how they do. So we'll see. I mean, that's going to be huge. People are going to be watching, I'd say, Manziel in the preseason more than any other team, in my opinion.
Yeah. People are waiting to see if he will fail or prevail, I guess, for Cincinnati, but it's just interesting because like every time I turn on ESPN, they're always like Manziel this, Manziel that, and I'm like, that's great. I'm not saying he's bad or anything. I'm just saying, like, let him play first. Exactly. We're not even there.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing they're gonna knock on him all along. Oh, he's not tall enough, or I mean, they say that about so many guys, but they've been that height their entire career. They were that height in college, and the difference between a college line and an NFL line. I mean, obviously they're bigger and stronger, but the height thing so much, it's not. That's not going to be the biggest problem. The biggest problem is just adapting to the speed and like learn to have a presence in that pocket. But in terms of like the height and stuff, which is the main knock on him, I don't think that's his biggest worry. It's not as big as people think. The difference between the SEC height and the NFL height is it's not enough to make someone like incapable of making that transition.
Well, we'll see. So your thoughts? We were kind of talking in the pre-show about how we really didn't have any predictions really on who will win the divisions, but you're going to be going to the Falcons game you said this week. So what are your thoughts kind of going into like how now that preseason is underway and it's kind of going to get a little bit more serious than the previous Hall of Fame game? That's what I called it since they were focusing on the Hall of Famers.
That Dolphins-Falcons game is actually pretty interesting to me just because the Dolphins brought in Bill Lazor from Philadelphia last year, who was Nick Foles' quarterback coach. And you guys remember his touchdown to interception ratio was just ridiculous. Miami's problem last year is Tannehill threw 17 interceptions compared to like Nick Foles like 2. And so you bring in this guy, Miami's whole thing is, and we're trying to protect the football, but then you got Atlanta's young defense. You got position battles at corner for the third spot, safety, and what's going to determine those is who's going to create turnovers in the preseason. And so you're going against a team trying to limit them and a team that really struggled forcing them last year. So that's going to be interesting to see if anyone can make that play that puts them in the rotation. But other than that, my thoughts on the Falcons, I don't know if you guys watched the Hard Knocks last night, but I had a lot of confidence with the team going into it. I just watching the offensive line, the defensive line, I'm like, all right, this team is clearly better. They're clearly bigger than they were last year. But then after you see Steven Jackson get hurt again, and then you see Devontae Freeman, I don't know if you watched it, there was that one play where he was running without the football, just running a route, and Matt Ryan went somewhere else. And then one of the cornerbacks kind of got him under the pads and the ribs, and I mean, he looked like he got hit by a bus. Like he just sat there and like walked off slowly, and he's like, I just got hit and they didn't even like give me the ball. And Steven Jackson was like, yeah, that happened. So that kind of worries me. The fact that Steven Jackson's hurt and Devontae Freeman's going to be probably our starting running back. We lost Jason Snelling, so we don't have that like guy that knows what he's doing pretty much. And I mean, if Devontae Freeman gets hurt and if Steven Jackson doesn't stay healthy, their run game is going to be worse than it was last year. So they've got to stay healthy. And I see how thin that group is. And, yeah, I'm confident with the receivers, but they've got to get that run game going. I think the line's good enough, but Devontae isn't going to be able to do it alone.
Yeah, he needs a supporting cast.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was wondering, like, what do you think in terms of the divisions kind of rely more on a passing to a rushing game? Because we've seen a varying changing of, like, offensive with coaching changes and all of that, and what Pete Carroll's done in Seattle, and just kind of the transition too with Chip Kelly, who came from as an Oregon coach now, is, you know. So what do you assume is going to happen with, you know, terms of whether we're going to rely on a lot? Because we all obviously know that Tom Brady likes to pass more than he likes to run. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's definitely differences. I think the difference you're talking about last year was the NFC seemed to have the younger quarterbacks. The AFC had the experienced veterans, some of the Super Bowl winners, and what happens with that when you have a young quarterback after they change rules of the draft, they aren't making as much money, and you can build a better defense. So that's what's carrying those teams. Then you got running game guys like Marshawn Lynch. So look at the Super Bowl last year. You have a team with a quarterback that's making basically like $20 million more, and it's going to Seattle's defense. And if you look at the NFC last year, who were the best teams? You had Kaepernick, Carolina with Cam Newton.
Right.
Then the Seahawks, obviously. You have all these running quarterbacks, and then the AFC, you got Big Ben, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, kind of just the more old school passers. So I think just a younger quarterback situation seems to be changing just how the teams are built.
So you kind of mentioned RG3 earlier. What are your thoughts after coming off of his injuries? Like, how is the Redskins going to fare against some of the changes this season?
Yeah, I mean they couldn't have gotten much worse than last year, but I mean if he's healthy, they'll be solid. But he's got to have. I mean they'll have a new system with Gruden in his first year coaching, but interested to see he'll have a lot of pressure on him this year. But I'm glad he got pulled last year because he would have gotten killed.
Yeah, there was a few games where I was like, he's been in here too long.
I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, it was pretty painful to watch.
Throw Kirk Cousins out there. He's like, man, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so with the whole Michael Vick trade, do you think it's going to be all about Michael Vick too? Or
I mean,
I know, to me, he's kind of past tense, though.
Yeah. All right. I mean, the Jets got better this offseason. I mean, last year they didn't have anyone, and I'll give that team credit. They fight hard to win games, and they probably win more games than they should. And just some of the guys they added to the offense really help them out. And I think the good thing about their situation, because they have Geno Smith starting now, is Geno Smith and Michael Vick, they aren't the same player, but they're similar in terms of what they're going to do. And I think if you have that competition or you need to switch it out, it's not going to really affect them that much. And their offense wasn't exactly explosive last year. So, I mean, I think Michael Vick there will help them. And regardless of how Vick's played the last couple of years, he does understand the game, and he does know how to run an offense. So hopefully just having his experience there, and he is like one of the best scrambling quarterbacks ever. So I think he'll probably help Geno Smith.
All right. Yeah, I kind of agree, but it's like it's funny because sometimes I don't know what Rex Ryan is going to do because I'm like he's kind of just decides one day he's going to put in a player, and you're like, oh, okay. So that's how we're doing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he sticks with his guys no matter what. He stuck with Sanchez for a while, and he's just like Geno Smith's our guy last year, and he's a confident guy.
Surprisingly, considering how there was all that pressure for like the Jets to improve, and they haven't really like shown promise quite yet.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to go against Tom Brady twice a year with Sanchez and Geno Smith, so you better be confident in them.
So, there was something I read earlier about the switching of the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl. I never watched the Pro Bowl. Should they like make it like the All-Star break for other, or just get rid of the Pro Bowl altogether? Because like it seems like players when they go to the Pro Bowl, it's like their free trip to Hawaii. They don't really care, so it's hard for me to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean it's football. All-Star game is a tough thing because you don't want to kill each other. You don't want to get hurt. Some of these guys have been, if you don't make the playoffs, they've been out of it a while. So they haven't really been playing. It's kind of tough to just put the pads back on. But yeah, I mean it sucks because you don't have the Super Bowl teams in it. But there's not really another way to do it. And, I mean, in my opinion, I think it will go away eventually. But I mean, it's not really much you can do about it at this point. It's already such a long season, and I mean, I understand it's still fun for guys. These guys love playing football. It's an honor, but I wouldn't want to risk millions to.
Is it an honor when like ratings every year have gone down because people have the same thoughts that I do, like it's boring to watch. I mean, we understand not getting hurt, but after the Super Bowl, why? Why put it after the Super Bowl? I guess that's the question because it used to be before the Super Bowl.
That's true. I mean, if the guys in the Super Bowl aren't playing in it anyway, you might as well put it in that week off beforehand. But we'll see. I mean, that'd probably be a better idea, a better game plan. But I don't know. I don't really watch it too much anyway. Like that's like the end of the football season. I'm usually like that's
Basketball?
that's the start of
Yeah.
my summer right there.
Yeah.
I start my summer in February.
There you go. So, any other predictions? I mean, I don't really have predictions because I'm curious to see kind of how preseason plays out. I'm just glad football's back.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
so,
excited about some of the cross
number,
conference scheduling this year. Like you got the AFC West playing the NFC West. That's going to be pretty big time right there. So you'll get to see Peyton Manning basically play the best defensive uh, conference in the entire NFL between Arizona, San Francisco, and Seattle. That'll be exciting. Then NFC East gets the no, what is it? NFC East gets the AFC South.
South, I think that's what it
That's
was.
good for them. That's good for them. No offense. Uh, NFC South gets the AFC North. That'll be good. We got Johnny Manziel is coming to Atlanta. I'm excited about that if he's playing. Got Pittsburgh coming to Atlanta. And then I think it's the NFC North and the AFC East. So, I mean, there's some good – I like those cross-conference matchups. I mean, that's what's real interesting. And I know that's why I like seeing the teams that don't come here too often. And you have the Steelers coming to Atlanta. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So, what again? Speaking of the Steelers, with even though we have Ben still, um, where do you see the Steelers kind of going? Because they started off. I don't know. Last season was kind of interesting in watching the Steelers because you didn't kind of. They were kind of unpredictable, which is kind of good, but at the same time, you didn't know kind of
That was the
where.
weakest Steelers team I've ever seen, I think. I think Levante Bell had 7 rushing touchdowns last year, and the Steelers had 8. Like Big Ben had the only other rushing touchdown, and I mean,
That's weird.
yeah, like no one else scored no other running back scored a rushing touchdown besides him. But you look at Big Ben's numbers, like how he passed last year, and he had a pretty good season, and it went unnoticed by a lot of people. I mean, I think he's probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the game right now. I know a lot of people don't like the guy and think he has character issues, but man, that guy is a solid quarterback, and he's never even mentioned in the top 8 these days. And I mean, I think he's just as good as a lot of these guys.
I just tend not to. I don't like the Steelers because I'm a Pats fan, but that's just me.
Yeah, they need Jarvis Jones to play better. They need defense step up, but got Big Ben back there and some added pieces of run game, and if they balance out that offense, I mean, they've got the speed of receiver, they got some good targets, and I mean, Big Ben knows how to drive you down the field and get the game winner. So I think they've got to be happy just to move on from last year. Because that whole division, pretty much, besides the Bengals, didn't do anything.
Right. Which was weird.
Oh my God.
The Bengals. So, well, it's exciting. I know the Cardinals have their first game this Saturday, I believe. Can't remember
I can.
I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it should be interesting.
They
I'm
play
just curious.
Oh, they play Saturday. Hold up, I got it right here. They play Houston.
Yeah, I'm not expecting them to.
Clowney.
Yeah,
How he does.
yeah. I'm curious just to see how the Cardinals stack up because they had promise last year, but then it was kind of the same old. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Fun, and then it was like, all right.
Well,
I mean,
Cardinals beat the crap out of the Falcons. I remember that.
yeah.
No part of that. Matt Ryan threw 5 interceptions, and man, I was like, just please don't kill him. Like, let's just end this game right now. Like, he
Well,
was
yeah.
he was getting leveled. I couldn't, but that'd be exciting. I know the Falcons play the Texans the second week, so I want to see Jake Matthews and Jadeveon Clowney go at it because, in my opinion, after seeing Jake, I think he's the best player in the draft this year by far. His dad's the best offensive lineman to ever play the game, and he came here as a rookie, and I've never seen someone play. I've never seen a lineman play like that in my entire life. He's
Yeah.
unbelievable. So they're going to have a combined practice in Houston starting next. I think they start on Tuesday, where they're going to get a lot of reps against each other. And I mean, he's been going against guys like Corey Bierman and O.C. Manure at practice, but that's not J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney. So that's going to be huge for him and big test for the Falcons. And I know that's something people are probably interested in to see Jake and Jadeveon go at it.
Yeah, that should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Could only see. Well, I'm excited for football. After basketball season ended, I was kind of like in a lull. I was like, what am I going to watch? Even though, I like baseball on occasion, but it's not the same.
You're probably in the Irish pubs watching the soccer all summer.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the World Cup. I mean,
Trust me, I was there too. I was
who
mopping the
wasn't
stage.
watching the World Cup?
Well, I wasn't watching it. I was there.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I was listening. I don't know.
Well, I was hoping, the USA would do well. They got, past the first round, which was good, but
Yeah, win one game and win the ESPY. It was fun.
yeah. All right, well, I want to thank you for joining me again, and a lot of people will be watching this in syndication, I know, because it's a weird Wednesday and August 6th already. But yeah, I want to appreciate you for joining me again, and thanks to everybody out there who will see this, and we'll see you next time on Sports Chat TV.
See
Bye,
you guys.
everybody.